Hi everyone, it's Fiona here. Happy Friday and hope you're all looking forward to an enjoyable weekend ahead. Today I'm going to be talking about cognitivism approaches and analysing those approaches. And I'm going to be using the example of learning Chinese Mandarin characters, which is something I did for 7 years at high school and then followed up through university. So I'm going to talk about two different approaches. One was when I was at high school, which essentially was learning those particular characters through reading a sentence that used that particular character or word, because each word in Chinese Mandarin has a specific character, unlike English where you've got an alphabet, 26 letters that make up words. Every single word in Chinese Mandarin has a different character. So looking at those characters, rehearsing them over and over again through repetition, writing them, and then at the end of the week being assessed to ensure that we can remember them. When I reached university, we had this amazing lecturer who was really passionate about the history and how those characters were constructed. And he used a really different approach which helped us to remember them more easily. And I'm going to give you some examples here of what he did. So every character is looks quite different, but if I use these examples here, we can see that this particular word shui, which means water, has a bit of a sort of some 3 strokes to it, and these words all have the same 3 little strokes in front of them. And the reason being is that those 3 little strokes actually mean water. So this word here, shi, is to wash. This word here, hai, is the ocean, and this word here, yo, is to swim. So what our lecturer actually did was chunk up the particular words or characters into radicals. Those little dots is called a radical, so that we could more easily retrieve that information. So bringing it back to the theory, I think he was encoding the characters or parts of the characters, therefore trying to reduce cognitive load through breaking up the complexity of the characters and presenting a schema which was grouping concepts together. So by grouping words that had those the 3 little ticks that meant water, we could more easily retrieve that information. Other words can be similar, so there's a particular radical for fire, and there's words like barbecue, smoking, I think even death has that very same radical in front of it. So he showed us that so that we could more easily recognize them. Or perhaps he was using a metacognitive strategy to cue information. So those particular radicals were a cue for us to remember what that character might be. So when we think about memory, this was aimed at freeing up our working memory. The working memory is very short, doesn't last very long. So when we saw those radicals, we could actually retrieve from our long-term memory those radicals, that means water, and then more easily retrieve the information that we required. A strength of the information processing approach is that it makes us think about the way we can retrieve information. 2,000 to 3,000 characters is a lot to learn through remembering every single word through repetition. So perhaps our teacher was looking at ways for our working memory to store the information into our longer term memory. One limitation though could be of this particular information processing approach could be that it doesn't take into account the unpredictable. And computers are hardwired to respond to a specific set of instructions. The human brain is complex and there's a lot we don't know about the brain, so therefore it may not be so predictable. Thanks for listening and I hope you have a great weekend. Cheers.